You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business. My name is Kelly Bolton. Thank you so much for joining us today as we welcome Kiki Hall. She is CEO of Common Table Health Alliance. This nonprofit organization is doing amazing things in our community to improve its health and well-being. We're thrilled to learn more about this group and its impact on our region, as well as tips on healthy eating and living. So without further ado, please join me as I welcome Kiki Hall to Let's Talk Business. Kiki, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I had the best time getting to know you recently when we did an event to kind of talk about this. And, you know, I've heard of Common Table Health Alliance, but it was my first kind of real introduction to it, and I probably have avoided it because I'm not a good healthy eater. I'm the worst of the worst. So, because I know a lot of our audience has heard of y'all, but probably not familiar exactly with what you do. What is Common Table Health Alliance?
So Common Table was actually founded back in 2000. A lot of people are surprised to know that we've been around that long. We've had several name changes since then, but basically there were some just amazingly compassionate and passionate healthcare folks in the healthcare profession who literally got around a dining room table and said, you know, we've got a lot of critical health issues in Memphis and Shelby County and the region, and we really need to form an organization to really tackle some of those critical health issues. And furthermore, they also figured out that we can't do it in silos. You know, there are so many great organizations and folks in this town that are passionate and have a lot of great energy about different things in our community, but they a lot of the times are working in silos. So this group learned or understood very early on that we needed to pull all the right folks together to collaborate together for a more impactful result.
Which makes so much sense.
Sure.
Instead of everybody working in silos, and thus, I guess, Common Table Health Alliance.
Right, exactly.
Working together. And I think that's so important that leaders in our community, healthcare leaders, professionals, can gather together, bring their areas of expertise to make something like this possible. So what would you say is your mission? I mean, if you had to just kind of say, this is what our goal is, what we can rest in peace when we know our job is done, what is that goal? Well,
to improve the health outcomes and the health disparities in the Mid-South region through collaborations and partnerships and direct services is basically our mission statement. And basically what that means is we pull all of the right stakeholders, players, whether it's a large healthcare corporations like Baptist, Methodist, Regional One, St. Francis, West Clinic, those sort of organizations, but also the smaller just support groups, advocacy groups, that sort of thing. And we pull all of those folks together and we help let them utilize their strengths in order to create a more unified and impactful and really sustainable result in the community.
Well, so I mean, obviously, I know that the way we eat as a society has changed so much. I mean, from the days that our forefathers farmed and brought fresh vegetables to the table, and now we have more processed food. We have more, for lack of a better word, more fast food, and a lot of times people don't choose the healthy eating choices that are available on fast food. We drive through and get the largest fry we can get and the biggest milkshake.
Because they taste so good.
Yeah, because it is so delicious, right? And so when I was visiting with y'all, when we did a wonderful event with one of the community partners at Napa Cafe, Glenda, and y'all were talking about choices in healthy eating. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about healthy eating and what does it mean, and explain it to our audience.
Well, the reason why we sort of kind of picked that out is obviously because we're a health alliance. We are a regional health collaborator in the region, and one of the things, the areas besides breast cancer and some of the social determinants of health that we are focusing on is our youth health, which obviously is one of those areas we have more staggering statistics. About 40% of our kids are considered obese in Shelby County. And so healthy choices.
40%?
About 40%.
I had to listen to that.
Yeah, about 40%.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And obviously we know what those long-term effects from obesity as a young youngster can happen later on down the road, which are, diabetes and heart disease and cancer, those sorts of things. So one of the things that Common Table is trying to do is to get in that arena and really target the youth health issues. And what we're finding is, unfortunately, because we do have a large population, underserved population in the Shelby County area, a lot of those folks live in what we call food deserts. And basically what that means is that there's not a good grocery store that has good fresh produce and meats that are within a distance that they can easily get to. And so therefore a lot of these families are living out of the convenience stores or McDonald's, and not to say that McDonald's, they have a lot of healthy foods, but they're turning more to those processed foods, those less expensive, easier to get, and easier to consume. There's not a lot of preparation, obviously, that goes into those and that sort of thing. And so, unfortunately, that is having an effect on our population, both our youth and our adults.
Well, that makes sense. So, so I'm listening. It's Common Table Health Alliance.
Right.
So obviously the mission is health. It's an alliance.
Right.
One of the things where I was first introduced to you was over healthy eating, which I can see how not eating healthy can have long-term impacts.
Definitely.
And I do want to talk more about that, but you also mentioned breast cancer.
Yes.
Obviously is a major health issue, and we have the
Absolutely.
Susan B. Komen Race for the Cure, which
Sure.
is just a wonderful thing.
It is.
But tell me, how are y'all involved in breast cancer?
So Common Table Health Alliance back in 2014 formed what is now called the Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium. And that came out of a report that the Avon Breast Cancer Crusade noted Memphis as #1 in the black to white disparity in breast cancer mortality.
Really?
At the time, it was shocking. At the time, unfortunately, our African American girlfriends were dying at a rate 2 to 1 to Caucasian women. Yes.
That is, and then I guess the group is trying to figure out why. Why such a disparity?
Right. So at that time, because of that, Avon wanted to come in and really kind of help this community and sort of start doing some community-wide initiatives to really make an impact on that disparity rate. We have made some inroads. Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium and all of their partners, we have 36 partners now collaborating together. Again, Common Table Alliance is a collaborator. So we have 36 community partners who have come together over the years and have done some real work in the area of breast cancer education. And one of the great things is, while we've reduced that disparity to 70%, that's still way higher than the national average. The black to white breast cancer mortality disparity rate nationally is about 40%. So we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, some work to do.
A lot of work to do. The other surprising thing that we have discovered during this work is that every zip code in Shelby County has a higher breast cancer mortality rate than the national average. So it's not just our African American women. It is it is you and I. It is all of our friends. It is every grandmother and mother, and every zip code in Shelby County is affected more so than in other parts of the country. So Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium does education work, but we also have published papers. This year we've published 2 new directories that are resource directories for people that are diagnosed or their caregivers. And then most recently we launched a report called Breast Cancer 901. And it basically gave an overview of sort of where we are right now as a county on the breast cancer disparity rates and mortality rates. Screening rates. A lot of people would be surprised to know that only about 60% of women in Shelby County are getting their annual mammograms.
Well, you were just shocking me with one thing after another.
I know. Oh, I know. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons Common Table was founded, was because we do have a lot of health issues, critical health issues that really need to be addressed. And I don't know about you, but I know that I'm tired of us being on the bottom and the top of the wrong lists. And
you're exactly right.
Right.
We got to do something about that.
We do. And so that is the areas that we are trying to focus on and try to improve the health and well-being of our community at large.
Well, let's definitely do that. We're going to pause for just a few moments for a short break. When we come back, we'll resume our informative discussion with Kiki Hall with the Common Table Health Alliance of Memphis as we discuss healthy eating and living.
If the children Every day is different, you know? Every day is a new piece of music.
1 5 1 5 3 5 6 5 1 5
It's a large program. We have 3 full choral ensembles, a women's chorus, chorale, which is about 55 students, and our chamber choir, which is about 18.
There have been lots of opportunities to audition, which have encouraged me to be more confident with myself and really put myself out there.
I really enjoyed my time being in choir, especially here at Germantown, because I feel like there's something special about this particular school.
I like them to walk into my room and feel as though they are free to experiment with sounds.
How beautiful can you make German? That's the challenge.
We always say that we're a school of excellence, and I feel that that really shows like in performances, because we're all so focused in trying to reach our goals.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. If you're just tuning in, I'm Kelly Bolton, and today we have Kiki Hall, CEO of Common Table Health Alliance. Today we've been discussing how this organization partners with local companies, churches, schools, government agencies, and individuals in its mission to enhance the health of our region. Kiki, thanks for staying around. Okay, so my jaw has been on the floor with these statistics. What you told me about 40% of our youth suffer from obesity.
Yes.
The disparity between black and white and other ethnic origin of women and breast cancer. And then all women as a whole being in our community have a higher rate. And then you said the other statistic, only 60% of us are getting screening.
Right.
So, I mean, you could just go ahead and blow me away. I mean,
Sorry.
I mean, you've got a lot of work to do.
We do have a lot of work to do.
So let's finish the discussion about this breast cancer thing. So, for example, I know you've recently done an event that has been working on breast cancer awareness. So, who would be involved, like organizations, and how will y'all try to work to change the breast cancer issue in our community?
So as I mentioned, the Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium has 36 partners, ranging in, you know, from Baptist and Methodist and Regional One and all the great health systems we have here, all the way to just grassroots level church support groups, breast cancer support. It's amazing. It's just been an amazing thing to just witness all these folks coming together who really out in the marketplace, a lot of these folks are competitors, but they have joined with Common Table in forming this Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium. Now what will happen is, since we've released this report that shows us that we actually do have the capacity in the Memphis and Shelby County area to get all of these women screened, because that was one of the big question that this study was going to answer, and that was, okay, if we were to get more women screened, do we even have the capacity to have that happen? Right. So the Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium has decided that they want to get our screening rate to 80% by 2025. But so the first step was to figure out if we had enough capacity, and we in fact do. So that is the great news. Which is wonderful.
So now the first goal is go from 60% screening to 80%.
80% screening, absolutely. And then we want to cut that disparity rate from 70% to 50%. Also.
And is the disparity because more black women are not getting screening?
So that is part of it. However, what they're saying is black women are getting more serious diagnoses earlier than white women are. Right. And a lot of times they're not finding it out until later. So there's that as well. And there's been some other recent studies coming out that there's also some other just genetic factors that are different between white and black women that are also probably factors in that.
Which I'm sure that's something that y'all are going to work on, because we want everyone to be screened and have a long and healthy life.
Right.
I mean, we don't want to see that kind of disparity.
No, not at all. And in fact, so the MBCC, that's the acronym for Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium, now that we have this report out and has all of these great recommendations in the back and kind of community calls to action, so to speak, the MBCC will take a look at that and say, okay, which ones do we need to tackle that'll have the most impact? One of the biggest things we need to do first is we need to do now a little more of a grassroots study, so to speak, and looking at what are, so if we have the capacity and only 60% of women are getting screened, why are they not?
Why is there a disparity?
Right. What are the barriers? You know, obviously there's a laundry list that we've heard of from a lot of the survivor groups. I mean, it's fear. There's a lot of fear. Some folks just don't want to know. And then there's also the transportation issues. There's insurance issues. There's economic factors that come into play because they're like, I can't afford a mammogram, you know. But the great thing is we do have a lot of great resources that can help. But
people don't know how to get a hold of them.
They don't know that.
And I can tell you, I mean, just talking to my girlfriends, black, white, Hispanic, whatever it is, everybody's thinking, well, I need to go ahead and get to the doctor at the end of the year because I've already met my deductible, or I can't afford to go to the doctor at the beginning of the year because I'm going to have to pay the whole thing and I haven't hit my deductible yet.
Sure.
So, I mean, I can tell you numerous people who I have known, whether it's dental care, screening, have made medical choices based on their ability to have it covered. And I understand it's a, you know, we all live, you know, having to pay bills, and it makes it tough, but that should not be a barrier to health care.
It shouldn't, and that's one of the things that we need to tackle, no doubt about it, because obviously the disparities are greater in the more under-resourced communities, and so we've got to assist those women in finding their way to get diagnosed, you know, because early detection, screening, and diagnosis is the key to surviving. And in fact, we had a Dr. Vidal from the West Clinic was saying, look, this is a very treatable cancer. We can cure people, but we have to get them in early to get detected. And so that's the big key, is getting that word out there and let the community know there are resources out there to assist you in your transportation or in the cost of the screening. I mean, Susan G. Komen locally, all of their money stays here locally, and they give grants to all the different facilities that do mammograms to pay for women who cannot, you know, afford it. And we also have the Tennessee Breast and Cervical Cancer out of the Department of Tennessee State Department of Health.
Really? That
does a lot of free cervical and breast screenings because they know how important it is to get screened. So there are resources out there. And most of the facilities in town, they'll find a way. They will find a way through either the grants through Komen or the Tennessee Breast and Cervical Cancer Program or another resource. But they will try to find a way. That's the beautiful thing. Everybody in the community wants to see these statistics get better.
Yeah, we just have to encourage people to know that they can reach out for help.
Absolutely.
This is really, really interesting. But we're gonna.
We probably went off on a direction that you probably weren't even thinking we were going to go.
No, I mean, I think it's incredible. When I first met you, it was over food. Now we're on this.
Yes.
But we're going to pause, take a short break, and when we return, we will finish up with our lively discussion with Kiki Hall.
We're running a 24-hour broadcast television station like no other school has done.
It is student run, it's student produced, it is student written, and it's student directed.
Here's to another 35 more years.
Students here get immersed in lots of different types of shows so that when they go out into the real world or to college, if this is what they want to pursue, they are so prepared.
Those lessons have also affected me in the ways that I would never even imagine.
It has shown me to be different and to, not settle for mediocrity. When you're producing a show, you want your show to be the best one it can be. You want it to be, a show to remember, a show that you want to look back on and say, I did that.
Yes, I did do this. Did I believe that I could do this? No, but because of all the support that I gained, I know that I can actually get this done.
I know that the skills I've learned here is something I'm never going to forget, and same with the experiences here.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, have a great day.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit GHSKappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Business. If you're just tuning in, I'm Kelly Bolton, and today we've been joined by Kiki Hall with Common Table Health Alliance as she shares about the incredible services Common Table Health Alliance provides to improve health and literacy in our community. As I said before, after our last break, I'm blown away, and I keep being blown away with these statistics. And I want to kind of go back to when I first met you about food.
Sure.
And you know, when I met you and I met Glenda with Napa Cafe, just your passion for healthy eating and how you can eat healthy and have it still taste delicious.
Absolutely.
And Glenda was kind enough to present a meal where we could see that it's possible. And little things she said about just put a great homemade salad dressing on a salad,
Sure.
then you're going to want the salad. But and then it started resonating with me about how the foods we eat, not just don't eat things that make you fat, but the food we eat and what makes up that food, I guess chemically, how it can have impacts on you. Some foods make you, I guess, feel more swollen or make you feel more tired or whatever it is. Tell the audience a little bit more about that, because I thought that was really fascinating.
Well, Glenda's definitely more of an expert in that area than I am. However, I will say that you know, if you go way back to when our forefathers were growing their own crops and eating, you know, the food that they grew in their own backyard, you certainly didn't have a lot of the health issues, a lot of the food allergies and that sort of thing that we have now. And unfortunately, a lot of these manufactured foods are not only making us, in a lot of ways, more sick and obese, but they are not doing any good for healing and the insides and keeping the insides, you know, really healthy and running the way that they're supposed to run.
Which was so interesting, because I really never thought about it. I mean, if you think about your body, everything you put into it is going to make it function.
Do you remember when we were little, they used to say, "You are what you eat"?
Yes,
So
now I realize they were right the whole time.
It wasn't just a little you know, cliche, but
and I just thought that was fascinating. So I have begun to discuss with some of my friends that are physicians, and apparently a lot of them are starting to embrace and everybody's recognizing that it's not just take a pill for this. It's eat right.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about healthy eating and a problem with obesity, breast cancer awareness, and I know within our community, you talked about a lot of times there's social constraints that cause some of our health issues, which I guess number one would be, you know, feeling like there's lack of access to health care or lack of ability to afford it, and I know Church Health Center has done a great job with that.
They have, and they're a partner of ours as well. We love what they're doing. They're just a great organization. And yes, so there's these things called social determinants of health, and those are really a lot of the social and economic factors that can really affect someone's health or the health of a community. And so that's another area that Common Table is looking at really focusing on, because we could do all of these great events and initiatives, but unless we're actually looking at what the social determinants of health are that are affecting the success of that or are impacting that, we might not even be able to make, you know, the strides that we want to make in those areas. So we really need to step back and take a look at some of those. You know, one of them would be food insecurity, like we talked about earlier. That's just it is a big issue, unfortunately. There's thousands of kids that are going to bed at night hungry, and women and men in our community, in our own community.
And it should not happen
It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't.
It should not.
But it unfortunately it is. And so that's one area. And yes, access, and as well as the transportation issues, and, you know, housing. Sometimes, you know, where they're living is really not a healthy environment. And I know there's some organizations in town that are starting to do some really looking at the housing issues and going into individuals' homes and doing some testing in there and making sure that it's you know, livable, and not making, you know, because asthma apparently is, you know, is a very big issue with kids in Shelby County, and they think some of that is because of the environment that we live in, but also the environment they're literally living inside. So there's a lot to tackle, but I know that this community, they always seem to come together. I know this community has such big hearts, and the great thing about it is, Common Table brings all of those folks together that have the energy and the passion and the drive to really make a difference together.
And I think that's so wonderful. I worry so many times about all of the wonderful nonprofits that we have in our community and all these huge hearts, but you've got, 10 people over here doing this and 5 over here, and if we could be pulled together and work collaboratively, we could use economies of scale, we could pool resources and not duplicate efforts and say, okay, this is our mission. But it's got to be so overwhelming, Kiki, because I'm hearing you talk and I'm thinking, well, they got to do something about this, and well, you got to do this, and you got to do this.
I know.
Like, I'm sure a part of your job is just figuring out, okay, where do we start? Where can we make the biggest impact?
Sure.
And then work your way through.
Right, absolutely. And I'm just 4 months into the job, and I'm, on that very steep learning curve and learning a lot, but I am trying to take it all in and just sort of evaluate what are the most critical issues. And that's the great thing about Common Table. Over the years, they haven't always focused on these areas that we've talked about today. It's, it was diabetes a few years ago, the Diabetes for Life. It was the Healthy Shelby initiative. And then there's been several others as well. So we are able to sort of keep our knees bent a little bit and kind of shift our focus when we see the need is there, which is great. The other great thing about getting more folks to work together, we can actually attract more national funds to come in and give us funding, knowing that there's a lot of us working together to create a bigger impact. So there's really some great opportunities there when we all work together. We love all of the nonprofit organizations in Memphis are amazing. They have so much just passion and drive and that sort of thing. But a lot of times the results are fragmented at best because they are duplicating or they're working in silos. So we're trying to eliminate that. And we want everybody to know that, and that's why it's called Common Table, that we want everybody at the table that's interested in making a difference in some of these health issues that we have.
Well, one last question, and then we're going to have to call it quits.
Okay.
But if people want to get involved, what do they do? Who do they call?
So they can get to Common Table, www.commontablehealth.org.
Okay.
That is our website. It's in the process of one of my visions. One of the things I'd really like to do is to improve the website, kind of update it. But it is there. There you can find information there. All of our contact information is on that webpage. And then our Memphis Breast Cancer Consortium website is mbcc.live.
Well, great. So I'm going to check it all out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
We want to thank Kiki again for being with us today. We hope you've enjoyed tuning in. To learn more about Common Table Health Alliance, visit their website at commontablehealth.org or call their office at 901-684-6011. To get more information on our show, you can check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. So please join us again next month on Let's Talk Business as we continue to explore the thriving Memphis business community.